Mm,
right?
mm.
And like, if
That's
you
more than paid for itself over the years. More than paid for
more than
itself.
paid for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I would do it over and over again. And yeah, everyone who is like thinking like, should I apply? Yes, you should, right? Like if they refused once, like apply again and again and again and again and again until you get in, because it's so worth it, right? And this also kind of aligns well with the YC approach to this currently, where they say that now is the best time to build, right? So coming back to where we started, go build, go to Y Combinator, change the world, right? Like, let's do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad you're saying that, because I think you've maybe changed my mind as to whether, or made my decision for me about whether or not to apply with our startup. I guess the only thing for us is that we are still a little later on in the journey, and so that's maybe where it makes it a bit more complicated. But I'll definitely revisit that, because of you've made me excited about it. But it's also interesting, really interesting, I think, for a lot of people listening, because a lot of people listening are early stage founders, and I'm often asked by audience members and stuff about accelerators, and I've never been through one. I just know what I hear from other people, and I think that there are a certain handful that it's just a no-brainer, because every experience I hear people share with me, they say it's transformative, whether it's Y Combinator, Techstars, or a handful of others that really do make a huge difference. So I think, yeah, especially early on when you've got a lot to learn and it's a very new thing, to have those people in your corner to learn in that accelerated fashion. But how early on, especially when money is tight, right, for a startup, how does that work? Because that's something that I've never thought to ask anyone until just now, actually. Once you're accepted into something like that and you're not from the US, you have to pay for the travel, accommodation, all that. That can get pretty expensive, presumably, right? How do you justify that
Correct.
in an early stage startup when, every penny is really important? You're trying to be really, really smart about what you're spending on. How do you
Yeah.
manage to balance that?
So, but once you're there, obviously you don't kind of live luxury, right? So you find the cheapest apartment, you split the cost with as many other founders as possible, right? So that's kind of how you
To
do
like
it.
shared housing kind of situation. Yeah.
Exactly. When
Yeah.
you go to like YC dinners, you take a little food to go, right? So you make sure that you save money, but being there does give a lot of advantages, right? Because you meet people in person. You meet people in person who are also focused on this hyper growth, and this creates this kind of competition energy. A very simple example from my first company was I was reaching out to companies who could be interested kind of in extract, right? And I was using Y Combinator as a sign of approval. So I reached out to like head of legal ops at Twitter at that point of time. And I said like, can we grab a coffee? And he said like, sure. And then I came by their office and we kind of had a coffee. I showed the demo. We had a conversation about legal technology in general. And then he said like, this is not a fit for us at the moment, but I know this guy who could be interested. And he introduced me to a person in legal operations in Slack. I showed him the product. I came referenced. We met near the kind of Salesforce Park in San Francisco. And we had a conversation. He said, "Oh, this is exactly what we're looking for." And then the conversation kicked off. And then a couple months later, they were our customer. And then they introduced me to like other people. So those introductions don't happen over Zoom, because you have to like meet a person, you have to like them, and then like you start introducing them.
It's very hard to manufacture that online. Very hard.
Very
It could
hard.
probably be done, but it would be very, very difficult.
I don't think it can be done, honestly.
No?
You can kind of force it, right?
Mm.
Because you can be reaching out to people like asking for intros and then having those intros jumping on Zooms, but it will be forced and as a result slower and will
Right.
require like so much more effort.
And probably less authentic, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
therefore, I would easily imagine kind of the conversion rate dropping. And I pitch him, and he's like, I like you, right? Like, let's meet at our office on Thursday. I'm like, does
Mm.
not happen online. That
Yeah.
does not
Yeah.
happen online, right? How much would you pay for that?
Mm.
I guess much more than a $5,000 a
So
month. San Francisco rent.
Right. So then it's a worthwhile reinvestment of the money that's been invested into you. You're seeing that as it's money that's going towards lead research, investor networking. It's a worthy. Yeah, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. I suppose you just wouldn't maybe make sense if you were trying to fly over to San Francisco on your own without without the network or access to Y Combinator to just try and make that happen.